We're going to go to Genesis chapter 18. And you see the destruction and wrath that was poured out because of the evil that was in the heart of man in Sodom and Gomorrah. But there was grace and mercy in that situation too. And the Lord said, verse 20, because the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grave, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the outcry against it that has come to me. And if not, I will know. Then the men turned away from there and went toward Sodom, but Abraham stood before the Lord. And Abraham came near and said, would you also destroy the righteous with the wicked? So God, if you're going to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah, would you at least hold back for the righteous that are among the wicked? And God's mercy was shown. Listen to this. Suppose there were 50 righteous within the city. Would you also destroy the place and not spare it for the 50 righteous that were in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing as this, to slay the righteous with the wicked, so that the righteous should be as the wicked. Far be it from you. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right? So the Lord said, if I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place for their sakes. Then Abram answered, and I don't know if Abram, maybe he had an idea. He says, but God, if you can't find 50, what about 40? Then Abram answered and said, indeed, now I am who but dust and ashes have taken upon myself to speak to the Lord. Suppose there were 5 less than the 50 righteous. Would you destroy all the city for the lack of 5? So he said, if I find 45, I will not destroy it. And he spoke to him yet again and said, suppose there should be 40 found there. So he said, I will not do it for the sake of 40. Then he said, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak. Suppose 30 should be found there. So he said, I will not do it if I find 30 there. Then he said, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak but once more. Suppose 10 should be found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for the sake of 10. So the Lord went his way, and as soon as he had finished speaking with Abraham, and Abraham returned to this place. God's grace and mercy was shown. And Abraham pleaded with God and just kept rolling back the conditions. And God, being merciful and gracious, said, all right, if there's 10, if there's this many, I won't destroy the city. But then we come to verse 19, or chapter 19, verse 1. Now the 2 angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. And when Lot saw them, he rose to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground. And this is just an example of the moral depravity that was going on at this time in the Bible. And Lot rose to meet them, and he bowed himself with his face toward the ground, and he said, Hear now, my lords, please turn into your servant's house, and spend the night, and wash your feet. And then you may arise early and go on your way. And they said, No, but we will spend the night in the open square. But he insisted strongly, so they turned into him and entered his house. Then he made them a feast and baked unleavened bread, and they ate. Now before they lay down, the men of the city, this was the city, all the people of the city had seen these 2 men come into the city. There was one righteous man in the city, and it was Lot. He was the representative for his family. And this is how depraved the city was, that they had seen the men come into the city. Now, before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both old and young, all the people from every quarter surrounded the house, and they called Lot and said to him, Where are the men that came to you tonight? Bring them out to us that we may know them carnally. The grace and the mercy of God was so great that he said, basically, if you can just find one person beside Lot, I won't destroy the place. And the men, that saw the angels come into town, they said, we want to know them carnally. And God said, you know what? I'm going to have to destroy it because it's wicked. There was an opportunity for them to repent, but they would not.